Yo, what's going on everyone? How you guys doing today? Welcome back to another YouTube video. In today's video, we're going to be looking at a build for the GrandMaster this week. This week, the Shadow Price is the knife weapon, so I figure a lot of you guys are going to be getting in the GM, maybe doing some LFG runs. So this build is going to be for those of you guys that are going to be hopping into LFG, so you can always get that completion. This build can pretty much deal with anything the strike throws at it, including the very unique thing that the strike has going for it, which is all 3 champions. This is one of those few GMs where you actually have to deal with all 3 champions all in one strike, but don't worry because this build is pretty much built for that. You're going to be able to deal with any champion you run across. Some of them show up a lot more often than others. I would say the champion that you're going to be running into more often is going to be a barrier, and the one that shows up the least I would say is an overload. But don't worry, whichever champion you run into, you'll have something to deal with it, stun it, and then kill it. So let's not waste any more time, let's get into it. And first of all, the 2 exotics you're gonna need for this build are gonna be a Graviton exotic pulse rifle, and also a Celestial Nighthawk exotic helmet. As long as you have those 2, you pretty much have the important things of the build. So, since I already mentioned the Graviton, let's start off with the weapons. Now our main weapon is gonna be the Graviton Lance. This thing is gonna be great at not only dealing with that, but also our main way to deal with barrier champions. It's pretty good at that, especially if you have the Catalyst. The Catalyst makes it easier to break those barriers, since we have Warp with it, and after you break the shield, you even get an overshield yourself. So the Graviton's gonna be pretty amazing, and it's gonna be the weapon that we're gonna have out most of the time. Now for our kinetic slot, we're gonna have the Ko. This is gonna be the main way we're gonna deal with those unstoppable champions. And it's not only gonna deal with the champions, but it's pretty much gonna be good at dealing with anything that has a little bit more health than the red bar. Something that would just take too long to kill with the Graviton. That's what the Ko is going to be good for. Rocket Sidearms are just kind of crazy in the game right now. They do tons of damage. They have really good ammo economy. So I'll take the chance that I can get to run a Rocket Sidearm. And lastly for a heavy, we're going to be running the Rocket. It is overcharged rocket, so all the rockets are going to be doing extra damage for this GM. So you can pretty much go with whichever is your favorite. I ran a couple with the Crust Termination, so if you have a good roll this one, this might be one that you want to take in there. And I ran a couple with the Apex, because you know the Apex is still the best rocket in the game. So whichever rocket is your best rocket, just go with that one. The rockets are mostly just going to be for dealing with champions, if you don't have a golden gun up, or to deal with mini bosses, or the boss at the end. Those are like the 3 things we're going to shoot with the rockets. Besides that, we're not really going to use too many rockets. Now for your super, we're going to be running the golden gun, and this is going to be the champion killer. Even though it's not Solar Surge this week, you're still gonna be doing a big chunk of damage. Especially if you proc some Radiant before you fire your Golden Gun, you're gonna be killing a lot of champions. Now moving on to our melee and our grenade, we have the Dust Field Grenade and the Withering Blade. Both of these are gonna slow, and both of these are gonna be the main way we're gonna be stunning those Overload champions. There's not many Overload champions, but when they do show up, you wanna kill them as quickly as you can, and this is the way we're gonna stun them. The Withering Blade, I would say, is like the easiest way to actually hit it and stun it. And afterwards, if you want to make sure that it doesn't get away, you can also use throw a Dust Fuel at it. Once the Dust Fuel is on the champion, it's not going anywhere. We're also going to have a bunch of ways of getting some ability energy back, so we're always going to have at least one of these abilities up. And even our Transcendence Grenade, once we transcend, is able to slow them and stun them. So we're definitely going to have more than enough ways to stun those Overlord champions. Now moving on to the aspects, we have Stylish Executioner and the Threaded Spectre. The Threaded Spectre decoy is going to be pretty good, especially when a champion starts running at you. You can use drop a decoy, fall back a little bit, and the champion will try to break the decoy. While they're distracted with the decoy, you can stun them and then kill them. So the decoy is going to be pretty useful. Anything that takes aggro away from you or your teammates, it's going to be pretty good. Now Stylish Executioner is going to make us invisible after we kill something with an elemental debuff. So if something gets hit with our grenade, with our melee, or just because of our fragment that we have on, we're gonna go invisible. This is gonna help us keep safe, and it can also help out whenever you're getting a revive. If somebody died out in the open, maybe in like clear line of sight of a champion, you could proc Stylish Executioner, go get the rest, and get back into cover like nothing ever happened. So Stylish Executioner is gonna be pretty useful, and we have many ways to actually proc it. So now let's move on to the fragments. The first one we have is the Facet of Balance. This is gonna give us back some grenade energy or melee energy for rapidly defeating targets with light or darkness damage. If we defeat things with light damage, we're gonna get melee energy. If we defeat things with darkness damage, we'll get back some grenade energy. This is gonna proc most of the time for my Graviton, so we're gonna be getting tons of melee energy back, so we can have our melee ready for whenever we need it. Next though, we have Facet of Solitude. Whenever we land some rapid precision hits on an enemy, they'll get severed. So whatever is severed is just gonna be doing less damage on you. Most of the time it's gonna be the champions, and the champions doing less damage is gonna be really useful, especially when they're running straight at you. This is also gonna work very well with Stylish Executioner, because whenever you sever something and kill it, you'll go invisible. Next we have Facet of Courage. It makes it so our Arc, Solar, and Void abilities deal increased damage to targets afflicted with darkness debuffs. The main two debuffs that we're going to be able to apply are the Sever and the Slow. So if something is Sever or something is Slow, our Golden Gun, which is going to be our main ability, is going to do more damage. Next though, we have Facet of Dawn. Whenever we hit something with our power melee, we get Radiant. So this is going to be an easy way to get Radiant, so all our weapons do more damage, and so our Golden Gun also does more damage. It's also going to work perfectly with Facet of Courage, because one of our power melees is going to be able to give us Radiant, and also apply a debuff by applying Slow. And the last fragment is going to be the Facet of Purpose. Whenever we pick up an orb, we gain Restoration, and that's just going to be nice in PvE. This is going to be a quick way of getting some Restoration and healing ourselves with orbs. So now let's take a look at our exotic and also the armor mods we're running. So our exotic is going to be the Celestial Nighthawk. Exotic piece that doesn't really need an introduction. It's what's going to make our Golden Gun do crazy amounts of damage, but it also does other things, like give you extra super energy whenever you get some precision final blows, and also whenever you defeat something with your Golden Gun, you'll get some super energy back, and it's quite a big chunk of super energy back. You get like this much whenever you defeat something with your Golden Gun. Now let's take a look at some of the mods that we're running today, and let's start off with the helmet. On the helmet, we have Heavy Ammo Finder, we have Powerful Friends, and a Void Siphon. Since the Graviton is what we're going to be using most of the time, the Void Siphon is what I decided to go with. Now for our gauntlets, we're running 2 Impact Inductions and a Momentum Transfer, just so we can chain our grenade and melee more often. For our chest piece, we have a Void Resistance, a Sniper Resistance, and a Harmonic Resistance, which is Solar. I really like the Sniper Resistance specifically for this strike, for all those barrier champions. They are all going to be goblins, so they're going to be sniping you, so you definitely want to have the Sniper Resistance. For our boots, we have Orbs of Restoration, Invigoration, and lastly Absolution, is just so we can get our abilities back faster whenever we pick up some of those Orbs of Power. And lastly for our cloak, we have Reaper, so we can make more orbs with our weapons after using our class ability. Powerful Attraction, so we can pick up orbs with our class ability. And lastly Bomber, so we can get our grenade back a little faster. I feel like we already have enough stuff that's gonna make it so our melee comes back faster, so I decided to go with Bomber on the cloak. But yeah, these are all the mods that we're gonna be running, nothing really super special, just some pretty standard mods. Now on the artifact, we're running Elemental Siphon, Counter Energy, Radiant Orbs, Shield Crush, and Transference. And all of this pretty much just translates to getting more ability energy, and also whenever we pick up orbs, we also become Radiant. So that's another way of also getting Radiant. But with that, that's going to be the whole build. I'll make sure to leave a dim link in the description or the comments below, so you guys can apply the build and try it out yourselves. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the build and it helps you with your LFG runs. And if you do use it, make sure you guys come back and tell me what you guys thought about the build. If you guys have any suggestions of things that I could change, or maybe you just want to share some of the builds that you've been running GMs with, make sure that you leave those in the comments below. I ran quite a few GMs already with this build, and yes, a lot of them have been with LFG, just to kinda test the build out. That's really why I went into LFG to do, and it performed pretty well, even with all the weapons I've been seeing in LFG. You really see everything out there in LFG. I actually ended up changing the build. It used to have the Outbreak with the Indebted Kindness, but then I remembered that not everyone has the dungeon, so I wanted to make this build, you know, accessible to the majority of people. That's why we ended up going with the Coal and with the Graviton instead. But if you do have the Indebted Kindness, you could do that with the Outbreak, and it'll be an amazing combo. You don't really have to change anything else. Everything else could be the same, just change the weapons around, and you'll see, it'll be even better. And with that, we're gonna end today's video. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed it. Thank you for stopping by. The support has been amazing lately, so hopefully you guys will keep supporting my channel and my videos. Once again, thank you for stopping by, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.